This new play defense, run the ball's philosophy has worked really well for the Vikings. They've only allowed 22 and 20 points to their opponents in these last 2 games, their lowest 2 opposing point totals of the season, and they beat the Packers in Green Bay, which is a crazy win. It's a crazy win to hang one on Aaron Rodgers right now when he's playing at an MVP level at his crib. So that's crazy. Then they beat Detroit at home, not a great win, but these are convincing wins, and they're pretty much all on the back of Dalvin Cook's dominance these last 2 weeks. He's averaging 28 touches, 239 total scrimmage yards per game, 3 TDs. And it's just, he's just having himself a season, man. And not even just these last 2 weeks. He's now first in the NFL in total TDs among skill position players. He has 13. And that's with missing a game from injury, missing half a game from injury on during that Seahawks game, and then having a bye. So he's really outperforming what he's supposed to be doing. And then he's also has more 100-yard games than he doesn't have 100-yard games. He has four of his last 7 games, he's rushed for over 100 yards. And right now, in terms of fantasy, there's probably no one I'd rather have than Dalvin Cook. He's averaging 27.6 PPR points per game. He's ranked first in points per game. And then after that, it's McCaffrey. And they're the only 2 averaging over 25 points per game. You have McCaffrey, Kamara, and Cook. And they're the only backs averaging over 20 points per game. Then after that, it's all below 20. So what Dalvin Cook is doing right now on a per game basis is up there with the elite of the elite. And I think that this gives him a case. He has a real case, even though he's on a 3-5 team, as the offensive player of the year right now. With this dominance that he's having, I always like to question myself, who is the best running back in the league? Is it Dalvin Cook right now? And I would pull back on that slightly because, like I said, when I own a team, or not when I own a team, or I mean, maybe eventually the boy will own a team. Ron Stewart, owner of the Jets, will run this team. And at running back, Dalvin Cook's skill set just isn't what I'm looking for. I think Dalvin Cook is a great running back. He's a top 5 running back. For me, I'd still rather McCaffrey and Kamara solely just because of what they do in the passing game and how much I believe in the passing game. But if we're talking pure between the tackles runner, you know, the Ezekiel Elliott's, Nick Chubb's, I say Dalvin Cook is top 2 and he's not 2. As the great Drake would say, he's been. If you just watch his games, he's been a special running back. I haven't seen a running back that looks that special between the tackles since a guy like Adrian Peterson on the Vikings. And I'm just talking about in just that small of a sample size of games and doing it between the tackles. Christian McCaffrey, he's going to run the ball. He's also going to catch the ball. Same thing with the Kamara. Same thing with all those guys up there. I mean, he's kind of like but Derrick Henry has that different running style. You know what I mean? He just kind of churns it out. He's a straight line bruising type, and that's cool. But Dalvin Cook, he's very finesseful with it. He breaks a lot of tackles. He's hard to take down. He has an, I don't remember the stat on top of my head, but he has like 198 yards after contact in the last 2 weeks or something like that, rushing the ball, which is more than most people even are rushing the ball on the ground to begin with. So that offensive line isn't even really doing him any favors, and he's still going crazy. Now, the one part I would pull back on Dalvin Cook being this transcendent talent, like a elite, like once-in-a-lifetime running back, you know what I mean? Like, he's getting a lot of hype right now, the offensive player of the year. The one thing that you can kind of knock on his game is that he's played very well against teams that are bad against the run. You know, he's had these last 2 games, the Lions and the Packers are the top 2 teams in fantasy points allowed to opposing running backs, whereas the games where he hasn't gone off against the Colts and the Seahawks one he was hurt, so I'll give him a pass on that. But the Colts one, I think that they're 6th in they're 6th in rushing defensive DVOA, and they're top 10 in fantasy points allowed to opposing running backs, where it's hard to score against them. In this next week, Dalvin Cook's going up against the Bears, who are top 10 in run defense according to Football Outsider. So if he hangs another 100 piece on the Bears, then he's matchup proof. He's dropping 100 yards on everybody, and this is how the Vikings are going to win. But I think that if the Bears play in a way where Kirk Cousins has to throw the ball, he only threw the ball I think 14 times either this week or last week. He's throwing the ball under 20 times in both of these last 2 weeks. If Kirk Cousins has to throw the ball more than 20 times because this Bears front 7 gives Dalvin Cook and that offensive line problems, and I think that's where they run into problems. They start losing games. But at 3-5 right now, they get a W against the Bears. Now they're rolling at 4-5. Now they can start trending towards that 500 range.